I genuinely love telling stories, scary or not. This is the story I tell when people ask if I've ever had something happen that I genuinely can't explain. I've been seeing Sarah for about 6 weeks when I invited her over for dinner for the first time. Nothing elaborate, pasta, wine, a playlist I'd actually put thought into. I spent the afternoon cleaning the apartment, which I don't usually bother with, and by the time she arrived at 7, the place looked better than it had in months. We ate at the kitchen table, moved the couch after, and just talked for a few hours. The kind of night where everything feels easy. My apartment is a one bedroom on the third floor. Living room up front, kitchen behind it, bedroom and bathroom down a short hallway. Small enough that you can hear pretty much everything from anywhere in it. That detail matters. Around 10, Sarah went to use the bathroom. She was gone maybe 5 minutes. When she came back, she sat down and was quiet for a second, then asked if I got into the bedroom while she was in the bathroom. I hadn't moved from the couch. She said when she walked back down the hallway, the bedroom door, which I'd left pulled almost shut, was standing wide open. She assumed I'd gone in there for something. I told her I hadn't. We both looked at each other for a second and then laughed it off. Old building, the door probably swung open on its own. I've had it do that before when there's a draft. We went back to talking. About an hour later, I got up to get us more wine from the kitchen. The kitchen is separated from the living room by a half wall with an open pass-through above the counter. When I walked in and opened the fridge, I noticed the back door. The one that opens to the service stairs, which I never use, was unlocked. Not open, just unlocked. The deadbolt was turned horizontal instead of vertical. I stood there looking at it. I always lock that door. It's a habit, the same way locking your car is a habit. You don't think about it, you just do it. I've been in the kitchen multiple times that evening and hadn't touched it. I locked it, poured the wine, and went back to the couch. I didn't say anything to Sarah. I told myself I'd just forgotten. But I kept thinking about it. After she left around midnight, I walked through the apartment properly for the first time all night. Bedroom, closet, bathroom, everything looked normal until I got to the far side of the bedroom near the window. On the windowsill, the interior sill, the narrow ledge on the inside of the glass, there were two partial shoe impressions in the dust, side by side, toes pointing toward the room. The kind of marks you'd leave if you'd stood on the sill and stepped down into the room. I don't go near that window. There's a radiator directly below it that makes it awkward to get close. The dust on that sill had been there for months. Those two prints hadn't been there before Sarah arrived. I know that because I'd wiped down every surface in the apartment that afternoon, and I'd run a cloth along that sill perfectly because it was visibly dusty. Someone had come in through that window at some point during the evening. Third floor, fire escape on that side of the building. They'd come in, moved from the apartment while Sarah and I sat 10 feet away in the living room, and gone out through the back door. The bedroom door swinging open wasn't a draft. It was someone moving through the hallway. I sat on the edge of my bed for a long time after I figured that out. My hands were shaking and my head was doing that thing where it just refuses to fully process what it's looking at. Someone had been in that apartment while we were there. While we were laughing and drinking wine and completely oblivious, someone was moving through the rooms behind us in the dark. I called the police. They came, took a report, dusted the windowsill, and told me the prints were too smudged to pull anything useful from them. They said it was most likely someone who'd come in looking to grab something quickly and left when they realized the apartment was occupied. That explanation would make sense except for one thing I didn't tell the officer. Nothing was taken. Not my laptop, not my wallet sitting on the kitchen on the counter, not the cash in the drawer by the door. They walked through my entire apartment while I had company and didn't take a single thing. I've thought about that probably every day since. If they weren't there to rob the place, I don't know what they were there for. And I still don't know how long they were in those rooms before they left. I never told Sarah what I found that night. Last week, she texted me out of nowhere asking if I'd figured out why my bedroom door kept swinging open when she came over. She said it happened every single time she was there, not just that one night. I hadn't known that. She never mentioned it before. I haven't texted her back yet. I'm not sure what I'd even say. I've told this story maybe 3 times total, not because it's hard to talk about, but because every time I do, people want to help me find answers, and I've gotten to a point where I don't think there are any. This was about 2 years ago, late September. I've been seeing a woman named Claire for about a month. Nothing serious yet, but heading somewhere. We've been on 4 or 5 dates, always out somewhere. Coffee, dinner, a walk, etc. This was the first time she was coming to my place. She arrived around 7, brought a bottle of wine she clearly put thought into, and within an hour it felt like she'd been there 100 times. We ate at the kitchen table, moved to the couch, put something on TV that neither of us ended up watching because we just kept talking. Easy, comfortable. The kind of night that makes you think things might actually go somewhere. Around 9:30 her phone buzzed on the cushion beside her. She glanced at it, and something crossed her face. Not alarm, just a tightening around the eyes, gone in a second. She told me she had to step outside to take a call, that it was her sister, that she'd be right back. She grabbed her jacket off the hook by the door and walked out. I waited maybe 15 minutes before I started to wonder. I texted her. No response. I went to the front window and looked out at the driveway, and her car was still there, engine running, driver's door closed. I went outside. Her purse was on the passenger seat. Her phone was on the ground near the rear tire, face down in the gravel like it had been dropped or knocked out of someone's hand. The engine was still running and the headlights were on. I stood in that driveway for a second, completely unable to process what I was looking at. Then I called 911. The officers who came took it seriously from the start, which in hindsight tells me something. They canvassed the street, talked to neighbors, and about an hour and one of them knocked on the door of the house across the street. The neighbor had a doorbell camera with a wide enough angle to catch most of my driveway. They reviewed the footage with me at the neighbor's kitchen table. It showed Claire walking out my front door, crossing to her car, opening the driver's door. Then she stopped. She turned and looked down the street to the left at a dark SUV. No headlights, moving slowly. Pulled up and stopped alongside her. The window came down. She stood there for maybe 10 seconds, not moving. Then she closed her car door, walked around to the passenger side of the SUV, and got in. She didn't look panicked. She didn't look like someone being forced into anything. She looked like someone who'd just been told something they already knew was coming and had to run and do what they had to do. The SUV pulled away. That was the last frame she appeared in. The detective who caught the case called me 2 days later. He told me they'd pulled Claire's phone records. Starting about 2 hours into our date, while we were sitting on the couch, while we were laughing, while I had no idea anything was wrong, she'd been receiving texts from an unknown number. He wouldn't read them to me directly, but he said they escalated. He said by the time she went outside, there had been 11 messages in 40 minutes. I asked about the ex she'd mentioned that night. Just once, offhand, something about a bad situation she'd gotten out of. The detective went quiet for a second and said they were looking into it. I never heard from him again after that. 3 weeks later, at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It said, "I'm sorry about that night. Please don't look for me. I mean that. Please don't." I called the number back immediately. It rang twice and disconnected. I called again. Nothing. By morning, the number was out of service. I gave it to the detective. He called back once to confirm he'd received it, and then went silent again. That was 2 years ago. Claire has never shown up on any missing persons database that I've been able to find, which the detective told me early on could mean several things, none of which he elaborated on. I've gone over that night so many times trying to find the thing that I missed. The tightening around her eyes when her phone buzzed, whether she hesitated at the door, whether she knew, when she said she'd be right back, that she wasn't coming back at all. I think she did. I think she said it anyway because she didn't want to scare me. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. Mostly it just sits there, the same weight every time I think about it, and I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon.